Welcome in, everyone. Once again, you're watching Drum Tip Tuesday. I'm Gabriel, and today we're going to start a two-part series concerning the kind of gear that I use. Per request, a lot of people have been asking about it, and so here it is. Today, part one, the cymbals. Now, the cymbals that I use, because I'm not endorsed or have any sort of affiliation with any one cymbal kind, I can choose the cymbals that I want, and I choose mostly two brands. One is because of superior quality and because I was lucky enough to go to Istanbul to get my, yes, Istanbul cymbals. And the other kind are Wuhan cymbals. And you say, why would you choose Wuhan cymbals? It's because they're kind of a sleeper in the market. The Wuhan China we've known of for a long time, being a trashy, in-your-face, super cheap China option, but they also make crashes that are pretty fantastic. But anyways, the gear. What's first up is the 13-inch, what do I call them, Mehmet Legend hi-hats. Those hi-hats are pretty fantastic. They remind me most of just like an old K hi-hat, like from Zildjian, except they are smaller than most people like their hi-hats. You may say, why would I go with 13 inches on a hi-hat? I heard Stuart Copeland used 13-inch hi-hats. I looked into some 13-inch hi-hats and I was sold. From then on out, I always use 13-inch hi-hats. These hi-hats are machine lathed. The hand hammering isn't necessarily excessive. They just look pretty standard for what I would consider like a 90s K kind of hi-hat, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about. Moving right along, we have a 22-inch Mehmet 61st anniversary ride. This ride is absolutely stunning, and when I saw it, I was immediately attracted to it for several reasons. First one is that it was completely black. I mean, it was not polished in the typical way. The processing of bringing it to its shape, is still evident in it. They didn't scrape off all the black. They left that in the grooves, which is pretty fantastic for me. The hand hammering is excessive. It is hand hammered within an inch of its life. It's thin, it's dry. The bell is not necessarily super pronounced, but that's okay. I'm not a big bell person anyways. I remember, brief story here, practicing in the house. My dad loved it when I played the drums. He didn't particularly care for the ride cymbal bell. That kind of shaped my opinion about drums too. That people don't necessarily like a big clanging bell. I don't either. I don't miss it with this cymbal. That would make it kind of niche, kind of signature, but it's my signature and I like it. One other aspect, kind of interesting to observe, around the edge, it kind of buckles back a little bit. I'm not sure exactly why. Almost as if it was pressed back by the surface that it was on while the cymbal smith was hammering it for all it was worth. It kind of like bent it back. I'm not sure how that affects the sound. Sounds good to me. It's there. Moving right along. The crashes that I use, I said earlier, are Wuhan crashes. I use for my primary crash the 17-inch Wuhan crash. It doesn't say much more on it. It just says 17-inch Wuhan crash. I got these because I liked the crash cymbals that Vinnie Colaiuta played. And he used 17, 15, 19 back in the 90s. So I started liking those sounds. I found that if I take what was typical at the time, 18-inch crash, and it's kind of like shrunk that by an inch. It made it a little faster. He had, Zildjian made the A custom line for him. These ones mimic that line pretty closely. They are machine lathed. The hand hammering on the 17 isn't really that much. It's nothing like the ride. It basically is like the 17-inch A custom from Zildjian. And to me, it sounds just as good. It was on the cheap. I forget what I got it for, but it was like on the cheap on Amazon, like, Lord, a third, a fifth of the price for which you can get a cymbal like that. At any rate, it's my main crash. I love it because it lights up fast. You hit it, boom, lights up fast. You can grab it. It's just a little more grabbable than an 18-inch. I like it. Moving right along. 15-inch crash. Now this one's called the 15-inch Wuhan Crash Thin. Although I think all the crashes are pretty thin. This one though is noticeably thinner. I mean, you can grab it and it's pretty malleable. You can bend it almost like it's a piece of paper. It's pretty awesome. It lights up super fast and is super bright. It like cuts through. When you ride on it, it is a beast. It just lights up real nice. Moving right along then, once again, 19-inch crash, a little further over. This is the crash where there's still a lot of room to experiment. It looks like it's been hammered a bit more, and I like that. It's big. It's a nice big right side resolution crash. In other words, you play the big fill, and I'm typically a 5-piece 1 up 2 down guy, so I have a second floor tom. So when I play an extended fill, I use that second floor tom. I can put a double to comfortably get to the other side, but it's nice to have an option that's bigger on the right side, so I can just, play singles and just nail it like that. This one fits just right. Just about. I think I would like one that's even more hand-hammered, uglier, maybe even thinner, trashier, but this will do for now. Speaking of trash, I do have also the Wuhan China. So I have mine on my left. I like my China on my left. 16-inch Wuhan China. I'm not a big China guy. I'm not a big cymbal guy in general. I have a 16-inch China, and it is like your typical, very thin, trashy China sound. Very aggressive. For me, too aggressive to have on my right side to wail on all the time. I like to accent the China in places that are mostly in line with the, I guess, E's and U's in the pattern. Not downbeats, but accents off the left. If I need to play it on the downbeat, it's not a problem, but I'm not a big China rider in most of the music that I end up playing. So, now that we've had a look around, I hope you like that. If this turns out right, that means that I was playing the whole time I was talking, which is pretty dope. And make sure that you tune in next week when I will be going through the drums in a similar fashion. Till then, I'm Gabriel. You've been watching Drum Tip Tuesday.